Hey, this is Ruth Hartunian-Alamba, otherwise known as Ravings and Cravings, coming to you from, well, I'm in Willimantic, but my guest is in what town?
Waterbury, Connecticut.
In Waterbury, the country of Waterbury. I'm very excited about this interview because we're going to be talking about something I love. But before that, let me give a shout out to our station sponsors. So that would be Elm Discount Package Store. Thank you for sponsoring this show, as well as Tony's Pizza, iconic pizza right here in Willimantic. Thank you guys for your support of this program, this opportunity to broaden our horizons about food and other things that we love to eat and drink. Thank you very much. You will find me, Ravings and Cravings, on Facebook by that name, and also on Instagram. My handle there is Crave Eat Love with little underscores in between the words. So let's get the party started here with Carmen Romeo, who is the son-in-law of the owners of Fascia Chocolates, made in Connecticut. I'm going to show you the box, and he has this awesome background. So if you're not, this is radio, but we are also recording for YouTube, and so we have the visual. He figured it out. You're good to go. You're showing is it the flagship company in your background?
Yes, we have one factory in our retail store here, besides all the places in Connecticut that you could buy our chocolate. There's 130 of them plus, but this is our flagship, this is our factory and retail store.
All right. So give us the like where you're located and how people can find your product if you have a social media presence. And then we're going to launch into talking about all of these wonderful chocolates that you sent me because I have questions and comments.
Okay, excellent. So we are Fascias Chocolates. We've been here in Waterbury since 1964. We're located at 44 Chase River Road, Waterbury, which is immediately off Route 8. We are on the banks of the Naugatuck River. So when anybody tries to find us, it's so simple off 84. It's 2 miles north on 84 and immediately off the exit. So depending on which way you're coming, right or left, we're adjacent to the exit of the highway. So very, very easy to find. The sign that you can see behind me here is easily visible from the off ramp of the highway.
Mhm.
We are we have Facebook and Instagram presence and a little bit of TikTok. We can be found. It's usually Faschoc, Faschoc, which is also the shortened version of our website. You can find us at fasciaschocolates.com or faschoc.com, Faschoc. And then you can also, if people want to come, we can find us at experienceyourchocolate.com. And that's a
Ooh,
nod to a URL that because we are a tourist destination, I teach the story and history of chocolate and what we do here. And we have had nearly 70,000 visitors in the building that I'm in
wow.
visit us over the last 12 years that we've been in the building. So experienceyourchocolate.com kind of goes to a portion of our webpage. It's integrated, but it's its own URL. And Faschoc and Fascias Chocolates all get you to where we are.
Okay, so like Carmen, do you have the best job in the world or what?
Well, I'm an engineer by training, and I was running manufacturing companies and doing widget stuff until 16 years ago. My
Hmm.
in-laws started this business on their out of their home here in Waterbury. It was a part-time business, literally for 21 years, but it
Hmm.
became much more than a part-time thing. It was really a full-time business, but my father-in-law was working two jobs. In
Wow.
1985, they did go full-time. So 21 years of part-time, it's now been
Wow.
40 years of full time. They built
Hmm.
the business, they ran it. It was a beautiful mom and pop, best kept secret here in Waterbury. And they found themselves in 2008 running the business at ages 69 and 73. And then all of a sudden they lost their lease. And they lost their lease in the building they were in and had to
Hmm.
relocate within a 2 month period, which was crazy. They weren't quite ready from a business perspective to let other people sell their chocolate. It wasn't their business model. And that
Hmm.
first year was, I would say, a bit rocky. We were in an industrial location that really didn't have storefront. And it was during that year that they were running the business that my business that I was running at the time, I was a general manager of this manufacturing company. We were planning to move it out of the state and I didn't want to move with it. So I think the stars aligned. My
Uh,
wife needed my wife needed a little convincing, but what we did is we came in and bought the business from my in-laws, and they're still here. I mean, they are now 90 and 86 and still here almost every day
well,
working and
I think that's
watching
so
over. We have three generations in the
awesome.
business. My son is full time and is taking care of our wholesale side of our business. And it's through that wholesale side that we've now grown to about 130 locations in and around Connecticut.
Mhm.
Majority are in Connecticut, mostly grocery stores such as Big Wise. We have about 24 Big Wise,
Oh,
and
I
a
didn't know
bunch
that.
of other smaller chains. We have Geisler Markets and Adams and Laban's here in the western part of Connecticut. But there are a bunch of independent, wonderful grocers, and then some
Hmm.
larger, well-known places like Lyman Orchards and Bishop Farms are both partners of ours,
Hmm.
and an assorted number of florists, gift shops, some museum shops. It's kind of runs the gamut.
Well, now that we're talking about this, we're going to put Fascias on the map for my part of the state here in northeast corner of Connecticut. I
Yeah.
received this. I'm holding up the box that you sent me with a ton of your product to try. And, everybody wants to be me when that happens. And I got to tell you, there were some things in there that, you know, you try things like things that have caramel on the inside. And I mean, I've tried caramel things on the inside, but I have never had a caramel filling that is so amazing like what you guys make. I don't know what you put in there, but it's total magic. Between that and the peanut butter cups, I'm like, what do you do to that? Because it's like glossy, shiny, creamy, but like please don't think like Reese's kind of stuff because that's like junk. So, like, talk about the quality of what you guys are pumping out there because I was so impressed with, those two things and other things too. But the quality of the insides as well as the meltaways.
Okay. Well, I'd be happy to go through each of them, but I'd love to start with caramel because it's something
Okay.
that most people can relate to.
Hmm.
And there are, I took a caramel class years and years ago, and there are at least four base recipes for caramel,
Wow.
and each of them are very different. Not to get too technical, but you do need fat, you need protein, you need lots of different components to make caramel be what it is, and it's always
Hmm.
dairy based at some point. But
Hmm.
our caramel recipe has been the same for nearly all of our 60 years. My father-in-law
Wow.
fine-tuned it with some help and some trials, and when I did take that course and learn four base recipes, and this was probably 4 or 5 years into my time in chocolate, so this is at least 10 years ago. Um, Not one of them was our recipe, but we met all the
Oh.
quote unquote rules. So when I backed into percentage of protein, percentage of fats, we met all the rules, just came at it from a different way. And two
Hmm.
years ago, we actually had a little validation. We are part of a national organization called the Retail Confectioners International.
Hmm.
And we gather at our convention once a year. And 2 years ago, they started with the Grand Confection Award, which was a
Hmm.
judged award, and caramel was the very first piece that they had everybody put their entrance in for, and
Hmm.
we did not win, but there were four honorable mentions, and we were one of those four. So we are top four, or top three, excuse me, the winner. And that winner did not even make their own caramel. They bought caramel from somebody else and doctored it up. But the other two
Oh,
and I are good friends.
interesting.
One's
Hmm.
in Erie, Pennsylvania. One's in the Baltimore area. And I know them, and they know us very well. And all of our caramels are very different from one another, but we were judged, so we could say we're one of the top four caramels in the country. And I'm being partial. I think we're the best caramel I've had in the country.
I,
But
I think you're
our
right. I
caramel
think you're right.
is used in so many different things. Of course, the you had several versions of the caramel there, but we dip apples in that same caramel and make our caramel apples. We dip it, Granny Smith apple in caramel, And sometimes it's sold just that way. Most times it's dipped in chocolate, but we also have a version we roll in pecans first, then cover in
Ooh.
chocolate, and we
Oh,
call
yeah.
it a turtle apple. And those things weigh about a pound and a half and can feed a whole family.
That's serious.
So our caramel comes from, and I will tell you, one of the secrets is not just the recipe, but it's the fact that we're using a marble slab. We're cooking on a copper kettle. We're pouring on a marble
Wow.
slab and letting it sit for 4 to 6 hours to cool. And we think that you get better texture and flavor by letting it cool.
Hmm.
Most people making caramel are pouring onto a metal table, running cold water through it as a cooling table, and they can get the heat out in 20 minutes.
Hmm.
And okay, that's more efficient, but we don't think you get the same kind of texture and flavor. In fact, I've experimented and I've taken our caramel and cooled it quick in a cooler, and I've
Hmm.
compared same recipe, same cooking method, but letting it finish nice and slow is also part of where the magic comes from.
Wow. Well, I was looking for the caramel because I cut it in half so that I could show people. But my husband, I think he ate it. And so I don't have it now. But I do have one of the peanut butter cups, and I just got to get my.
Okay.
I think.
So peanut butter cup, I'll give you the secret. It's Skippy peanut
Okay.
butter. That's the most important thing. It
Are
is
you kidding?
Skippy
You're
peanut butter
kidding.
right out of the jar, right into the peanut butter cup. Okay. Now
That is awesome.
for all the for all the Jif fans out there, we've experimented with both and back and forth a few times, and Skippy always comes out on top. So we've gone with that. Now the key to a peanut butter cup is that the chocolate is not your normal chocolate we would make hard bars with. It starts that way.
Oh, it's different.
We add a tiny bit of coconut oil, and what coconut oil does, and even in a Reese's, this would be the same sensation. When people take a hard chocolate bar and add peanut butter and bite it, maybe the taste is there, but it's not the sensation. You need a softer chocolate to bite into in
Mhm.
order to. So that's really the secret. We add a little coconut oil to the chocolate. We
Mhm.
still temper it up and get it. We pour a little bottom in the bottom of a cup. We literally squeeze the peanut butter out of a piping bag, and then we
Mhm.
flood coat over that. And that's why they're not
Wow.
always all the same. We might have a little more chocolate in ours than Reese's would, but the Reese's are that textural, soft, kind of not, it's not real peanut butter. So the
No,
balance, the ratio of filling to chocolate in our peanut butter cup, maybe a little more chocolate than peanut butter, but because it's real peanut butter, you're still getting a great taste, and they are
yeah.
very popular.
Well, and you know better than I do because I'm just a, chocolate hack that fillings are not all the same and brands are not all the same. And there's a really funny aftertaste to like Reese's and commercial kind of things that Fascias certainly does not have. But I wanted to try to see if I could hold up the box without like dumping it over because it's so beautiful and people want to see chocolate, I think. So I'm gonna see if I can point my camera.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to ask you to try something if you don't mind. Now that we're
Well,
talking about peanut,
I've
now
tried a lot of them, but I will try whatever you want me to.
Okay, so now that we're talking about peanut butter, and this will get us into the melt away category,
Yeah.
there is a brown square piece of chocolate, a milk chocolate piece with a dark drizzle on it, and it's right in the center of the box that I sent you. And that's it. So that's a peanut butter melt away. So if you don't mind
Oh.
giving that one a little bite, this is actually my favorite way to eat a peanut butter flavored chocolate because it's a melt away version. And even though it's not all real peanut, I mean, it's actually chocolate and peanut butter mixed together. A melt away is a type of chocolate that has a soft center that
Mm-hmm.
is stable. It's not cream, and it's certain. People confuse them with truffles all the time, but a
Oh.
truffle is
Mm-hmm.
separate. We can talk about that. Truffle has ganache, which is dairy based. This is an
Mm-hmm.
oil based. We do a lot with nut pastes and other things. You have several meltaways in what I gave you. But that peanut butter meltaway, if I want a peanut butter fix, I'm more likely to eat the melt away than the peanut butter cup, quite frankly, just because the peanut butter cup's so big that I don't want to
Yeah.
eat that much in one sitting.
Well, and if someone says I only had one, there's no guilt there.
There you go. One piece of a peanut butter
I
cup is
only had
quite.
I only had one. I mean, there's
That's
nothing
right.
wrong with that. So, we could talk about chocolate for a long time, but before we run out of time, I did some, and that was a great melt away, by the way. Before we run out of time, I wanted to also give you a chance to talk about the experiences that you have to offer people. Because I think, I homeschooled my kids, and I would be making a beeline to where you are. And it's not just for kids. I mean, adults, etc. So, talk about that kind of thing
Sure.
that you offer, because so many people don't do tours anymore, but you
Right.
do.
So we absolutely do. So as I started to say in my introduction, my in-laws had lost their lease. They moved into this industrial building and really couldn't sell there very easily. And it was a quarter of the size of what they had left. So it was very small. When I got there and was trying to make our way and trying to grow the business a bit and survive, one of the things that happened, luckily, was our neighbors moved away and we took over next door. So we doubled our size, but we were barely back to what we had started in when my in-laws were forced to move. Well, in that
Mhm.
little space, we put a couple tables in the corner of the factory, kind of walled it off a bit, and that's where we started talking about chocolate. We started bringing groups of 10 or 12 people in. When we bought the building we're in, and that was another stroke of luck because the couple selling it were going to retire and merge their business with another. So this is a
Hmm.
very large building, 19,000 square feet, but one of the centerpieces of it is we designed a presentation room is what we call it. We have a set of glass walls adjacent to the factory and we set it up to do
Nice.
presentations. So we handle groups of, we do a coach bus, 55 people, 60 people at a time. We do a chocolate make a bar. It's called our chocolate experience. That's kind of what we termed it. And it's
Hmm.
not a tour where we walk in the factory, but the camera that I have mounted in the ceiling, I control from inside the room, and I can get closer to the action than we could if we were ever trying to
Nice.
traipse ourselves through the
That's
factory.
awesome.
Plus, there are a lot of laws and rules against bringing people into a food production.
Right,
So
right.
it's generally an hour long. It's very friendly, all ages. We've had nearly 70,000 people, as I mentioned,
Hmm.
significant groups. Yeah, school groups, lots of homeschool groups. So I know we're into the thousands of people from just homeschool groups themselves. Groups from schools, special needs, lots and lots of special needs of all kinds, from Alzheimer's
Oh,
to
how sweet is that?
transitional programs, a lot of senior groups. These are some of the more private groups, but we do our chocolate experience on the weekends and when school is out. We
Hmm.
happen to have one. We're talking about this just before election day, but 2 weeks in a row now, Veterans Day and Election Day on a Tuesday, because there's no school, we have a chocolate experience set up. So it's a perfect thing to do. And again, it's not just for kids.
Hmm.
We talk about the history of chocolate, where it comes from. I talk about its origins. I'm showing cacao beans. I'm showing film of how cacao is harvested. I'm going
Hmm.
all the way through how chocolate is made from a bean, and then
Hmm.
talking about what we do with it here. So it's a highly um, fun, but also educational experience, and I'm the one who delivers that. In addition, something that's very unique that nobody else has anywhere in the world that I know of is we have a
Ooh.
train tracks literally behind us, run by the Naugatuck Railroad, which is known as the Railroad Museum of New England. That is a sightseeing train in
Uh-huh.
the same mode as the Essex train, and I love the Essex
Yeah,
folks. I'm out
sure.
there. I'm out there helping them with. I do a chocolate and chocolate pairing on a dinner train at least once a year. So they're my friends. But right here in my backyard, the railroad tracks are adjacent to our property. So we run something called the Chocolate Decadence Tour, which is a adult chocolate and wine pairing that occurs on the train that stops at Fascias, lets people off, and they come in and do chocolate. That's one of our signature events. But also, when the train does run their scenic tours, they're dropping people here to shop. We are a destination for anybody on the
Oh,
Naugatuck Railroad who takes the just a
great.
regular scenic tour. So
Wonderful. Well, so, the holidays are coming. Do you guys do gift certificates? And I know,
absolutely.
so if someone wants to gift someone a tour or something, I
Yep.
love experiences. I'm at the point of life where, like, don't give me stuff. Give me a chance to go and experience something different.
Yep. So
Plus,
that's a big part of what we do. So yes, not only can you gift us an experience, we sell gift certificates, one person, two person, four person.
mhm.
Um, we also do private events, and all you really need is 10 people to create a private event. So
That's
at the
doable.
holidays, we tend to get a lot of families banding together. It doesn't take much for, grandparents and their two or three kids and assorted grandkids to get above 10 and do a private event that turns into a little bit of a party. So we do a lot of custom things here, and it kind of centers around the same chocolate experience, but we have something we call gather, make, learn, enjoy, and that's
Mm,
the essence of all of our, whether we want a 2 hour kind of open house feel or you want a
mhm,
classroom feel. We do a lot of that
mhm,
here. So that's in the nearly 70,000. We average
mhm.
about 5,000 a year. And we've been doing this now we're on our 13th year. So if you add all that up, we're about well above 65,000. I usually use the
Wow.
milestones.
That's
So
congratulations.
that's
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 awesome.
something you can do here that you can't do anywhere else that I know of,
Yeah.
especially with the train.
Well, and I mean, we're not going to talk about prices, but I did check prices, and it's a reasonable price. Like, it's very doable for most people. So thank you for making chocolate accessible to the
Well,
world. We
yeah,
really
the chocolate
yeah.
market, people might hear, especially with Halloween, there was a whole bunch of newspaper articles and things about the price of chocolate. It is still very high. 2 years ago, we experienced a huge upswing, about an 80% price increase in the cost of chocolates.
Mhm,
The bean futures are moderating a little bit. We're still not back to where we were and probably will never be, but
mm,
we were really stretched very tight. But I will tell you that the cost of Fascias chocolate, cost of our chocolate experience is cheap. It's $10 a person when you are in the private or the
yeah,
public
it's very
experience,
reasonable.
and it's $12 a person when it's a private event for 10 or more. The price of our chocolate, however, we've tried very hard to keep it reasonable, and I will tell you that you will spend more on Lindt chocolate than you will on Fascias. And
I know what
I think
that is.
I will put our product against, and I respect Lindt, but I use that as a benchmark. You can buy our chocolate at less price than Lindt
Yeah.
costs.
Well, before I run out of time, I have to know one thing, and that is, what is your best selling chocolate, and is it in my box?
So I have to go a few things. Meltaways in general, but the hazelnut meltaway, which is that two-tone milk and dark, pure hazelnut paste, a very expensive piece of chocolate to make because of hazelnut being so expensive. That's it. And it's all melt in your mouth and half milk, half dark. And it's a
Mm,
really wonderful piece. That's probably that and our caramels are the only product that gets sold in a full 1 pound box all by themselves. But the other pieces that I did send are all available by themselves. And that is our milk almond butter crunch. Our gourmet truffles are really second to none. Um, that's a butter crunch. That's milk almond butter crunch, which is toffee in the center and good toffee. Yeah, it's a great piece.
awesome. Yes, the coffee is amazing.
The toffee, when anybody eats toffee, here's my one thing to tell everybody: make sure that it's crispy, not sticky. If you get sticky,
It is.
bendable, grainy toffee, it's not as good a quality as it could be. Ours is perfect, and it's butter and sugar. That's the recipe. We don't tell you can't really do much with that other than ruin it if you don't cook it properly and put it with good chocolate. Now you're talking. Our
Yeah.
gourmet truffles, and I gave you one of every flavor we make, but our gourmet truffles
Mhm.
are different than a lot of others because it is a dessert style gourmet truffle. Yeah. So that is going to be the ganache, which is dairy flavor, dairy mixed with chocolate. That one is a plain dark chocolate. So if you bite into that, what you're going to get is a very fudgy-like center that melts quickly in your mouth. It's not
Mm-hmm.
liquidy. The aforementioned Lindor truffle. So there you go. It's a very fudgy center. The aforementioned Lind, and I respect Lind, so I'll use them as a name. Lindor truffles are very soft inside, and and
Mm-hmm.
and that's the traditional style of truffle where you make a shell, add the ganache, and then cap it so it stays somewhat soft, almost liquidy in some cases. The dessert style truffle, we let it sit for 24 hours to center. It gets to be fudgy, and that's
Yeah.
what we hand roll and then coat through our enrober. And the last piece I have to point out before we run out of time are our cordial cherries.
Oh
And
yeah.
most people, the
I
cherry
love
cordials,
them.
I would estimate over 90% of cherries people eat are not made the way we make them. We pan, yeah, that's, you got it. And it's a big cherry with a lot of nice clear liquid.
Yes.
And that has been cordialized naturally. It takes 10 days to cordialize after we make the cherry. To
Oh,
make the cherry, you got to
yeah.
toss it in on a pan. It's a round spinning pan. There you go. Take a maraschino cherry, spin it around, spray it with the juice that it came with. After we dry them off, we wet
Mm.
them. Add a special confection of sugar. It's actually a sugar coated cherry that we then coat in chocolate, and it takes 10 days to break down, which is why the tang you get from that cherry is unlike most cordial cherries you're going to get. And
Oh,
again,
the other cordial cherries are really not worth getting. So we'll just say that. But you
okay,
know what?
so
I just, I gotta, I'm sorry, I'm out of time, and like, I could just talk with you like for at least another half hour. And I'm saying that because maybe they'll increase my time for their show. We could do a part two. I am here with Carmen Romeo from Fascias Chocolates, Fascias Chocolates. In case you're wanting to Google that, you need to check these babies out, see where they sell them around us. I appreciate so much your hospitality, even across the miles, and sending me something to sample. Thanks for your time. And my best to you. This is Ruth Hartunian Ellenbaugh signing off here on Good Company, WILI.